Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, I am so happy to be here today. Again, talking about Joel Goldsmith and the Infinite Way. And today I'm going to review Consciousness Unfolding, which again, as I tell my friend Diane, this is the best ever. And she always says, you say that all the time about every book you ever read because they're all so fresh and new. And I don't know, you almost believe there are a million authors to all 50 books, and it's the same guy who's just channeled and is an instrument for God and has this super mission. But before I get rolling, I want to mention the calendar that is free to anyone who wants it, that Diane Doheny is giving to you, and she will mail it to you if you email her. It's the 2019 Joel Goldsmith calendar, and it's really beautiful. Her address is ddoheny1@comcast.net. And my buddy Tim, who is a great director, is going to put that graphic up as we go through the show. So if you want to order one, just email Diane and say, I'd love one. They're just nice to have. Each month has an inspirational idea, and on the back it talks about who Joel is and what his movement is. And I don't know, it's just nice to have. And today I want to thank Joel Goldsmith, who was born in the late 1800s, I think lived to be into 1964-ish, he's my teacher. And it's so interesting. I've been doing Awaken the Dream I've decided about 26 years, and in the last maybe 4 to 7, I've honed in on Joel Goldsmith. I interviewed and entertained and loved hosting so many folks who had a special path, because we all can vibrate to something special, and that's a good message today. Whatever you vibrate to, stay with it. Trust it until maybe you don't want to anymore, because I've been through a lot of them. I tried to make a lot of them work, and they worked for a while, and then something went amiss where something was missing, and creatively I needed to move somewhere else. So I tried so many of these wonderful missions and so many wonderfully creative people that came on my program to be inspired. But then I read Parenthesis in Eternity by Joel, and that was it. It was like it fell out of the sky, hit me on the head, and it's been about 7 years where I just can't deviate. And it gave me permission actually to stop hosting because I just needed to focus. Because he's my teacher, I accept it, I will be doing it forever, and that I am sure of because of the vibration within me to everything he has to say. He's a mystic. He tries to help us to see where mysticism actually is the step beyond metaphysics, where metaphysics might try to give an affirmation over a problem and deal with it, wrestle with the problem, where in mysticism there is no problem. Joel, who worked with the church for a while, found the organization and the politics began to interfere with listening to the still small voice. So after, I think he said, 28 years of struggling to find God and to work with God and hear that voice, he woke up. He woke up to tears. He woke up to his heart breaking with joy. And that's an experience that one never forgets, and you can never go back from there. You want it again and again and again. So Consciousness Unfolding, Joel, thank you, is about patience. It's about the process of our developing slowly within, learning to go within over everything. The general idea is we are in a human world. We're very brainwashed as to fear. Love, hate, joy, money. We have egos that say, I've got the best car, the best job, and I'm going to make my life the best because I can do it because I'm separate from God. Who needs that? So anything of the ego is not of God, because anything separate from God is not divine love. It's not sharing that incredible feeling within, which Joel discovered after he let go of all of that organization, and he created the Infinite Way. And it means we are infinite, we're immortal, we have inner peace always. So he's trying to really help us see that we're perfect. That's a stretch, I know. We're perfect right now in this now moment. The now moment is the eternal moment. It's within, it's a constant, it's waiting for us, which is what Consciousness Unfolding is about. We're unfolding to this sense of perfection. Now, how in the world, my friends, do you think we're going to do this? If we're in this human world with all of this hate and fear and, oh my God, you're going to die of this, and you put the news on, right now when I hear another commercial, I just want to, well, thank God for mute buttons. It's really annoying because it's just all somebody trying to sell something and one-up somebody or convince you there's something wrong with you, or a church that tells you if you don't give them all your money, then you're never going to make it. God will not accept you. So all of that is not true. Because if you're perfect, all you need to do is work within, privately within. You can be in groups, you can listen to tapes, you can study, you can find a teacher, you can find folks on the path, but basically you're in this alone. So you have to realize the inner power that you have. So recognizing inner power and inner love, divine love, the heart. Listen to the heart. That's really what's going on here. Your heart is you. That's the truth, and that expresses divine love. Because have you ever had a sense when something's beautiful happened or you shared something and all of a sudden you just felt this whole part of your whole soul just sort of just lit up and you felt warm? That's God working with you. And when you realize that presence, He will let you know He's right there. You are on holy ground constantly. That can never be taken away from you. You're not in a manger. They talked about Jesus in the manger, which is like humanhood. Humanhood is not of God. All of this separation is not of God. So in reality, Joel is saying that's all you are, is God. So you are an individualized expression of God. Now think about that. We're conscious awareness. What we're aware of is what we walk into every day. So what does Joel recommend? We meditate. We don't go flying out the door. Over everything we meditate. We're within. We're alive. The truth has hit us, and everything else pales. You'll find as you do this work that the earth plane kind of starts to lose some interest for you. Things start to pale. They start to fade. You stop watching some of those TV shows or reading stupid books. Your whole consciousness raises you up to more quality, more joy, more upliftment, just because your meditation has taken you to the truth of your being. So, as Joel says, it's got to be a constant. So, my friends, we sit in silence and we receive. The only way to break out of the hypnotism of the earth plane, the mesmerizing, as Joel says it, is to rest in peace. You are the light, the truth, the way. You rest in that. If you've got a problem, let it go. Give it over. You don't have one. And that's what resting in the peace, in the truth of your being will give you. That dissolves whatever you thought, whatever nightmare you were dealing with or question you had, or where you thought you needed to find answers for something. If it comes from your ego, it's not going to work. You need the highest power to advise you. The added things only come when you let go of your dramas, of the scenes you're out picturing, anything that's going on with you that you're just throwing out to spirit, unless it comes from your heart, from the perception and the realization of who you really are. The added things are up to God. He knows what you need so much more than you do, and I really love that, because I have so many ideas about things I think I want, and then it comforts me to know, wait a minute, you have someone, the cause, something you have to be so grateful for, the cause of your life. Your body, your soul, your intelligence, all are divine, and they're all one. They're all together. And we are an invisible bond with every human being there is. Now, some folks will vibrate to us. Some will be raised up by recognizing what the infinite way is about because they can understand it. Some people could think you're nuts, and so what? That does not matter. And wherever they are is perfect, because we're not here to fix anybody. And that's something we have to watch. We are not to go and say, hey, this is the way you're doing it. You're not doing this right. Actually, you sit with whatever that is, and silently within yourself, think of the presence for you, because everything that you outpicture comes back to you. And you know what that says? You actually can't hurt a soul. Think of all the ugly words you might have, and you might want to punish somebody. They are not going to hurt anyone. It's like, who picks up the sword, gets the pain. Anything you throw out there that is not of divine love, that's a judgment, it's not righteous judgment, is yours. You see, if you're going to create your own world with your divine soul and realize it, everything you walk into comes back to you. So if you want peace, what are you going to do? If you're going to judge somebody, and you can't hurt them, I promise you, you cannot hurt them, because that's your judgment. And what happens comes right back into your soul. You are one in divine consciousness in the spiritual universe, which is whole, complete, and perfect. The entire universe, the stars, the sky, everything, the birds, everyone seems to know what they're doing. There's a magic, there's a beauty to eternity, which once you see through the density, or as Joel says, through the dark glass, the glass darkly, see the illumination behind every scene that looks dark. That's an illusion. Buddha saw it, Lao Tzu saw it, Jesus saw it. Oh, poor Jesus, he really tried so hard with his disciples. I love the sensitivity of the Gospel of John, which is the infinite way, is, you know, they loved the loaves and the fishes. They loved his miracles, and they just kept coming back for more. And Jesus was a little disappointed. It's like, you haven't asked me how I did that. What was the principle behind the added things? They just wanted the added things, so they kept showing up. So, you know, that's a comfort in a sense to realize 2,000 years ago, the struggle is on to really understand the invisible perfect world. It doesn't seem normal, and yet it's the only reality that's true. And what is exciting about this material for me is, I mean, I really light up when I read anything like this, or when I meditate and I feel the comfort and I get the guidance, because God sends you thoughts. Think about that. I liked reading that sentence. God sends you thoughts, nudges. We get nudges about, what the heck am I doing here? There's got to be something. It hits us after a while. Now, I've had a million careers, many folks have, and you're very immersed in it, or child rearing, or you're in school, and there's a time in life maybe where this is not as easy as other times. But you know, what happens is, as you grow, because the still small voice and the reality of your being, the Christ, is clouding around you in beautiful love, you're not going anywhere, because it's going to keep coming back. Nothing will ever beat that for you. It draws you. It's calling you back to the Father's house. No more prodigal sons. We're coming home. The infinite way is trying to help us to do that and to have compassion with our struggle. So as we see through a glass darkly, we see perfection. Now, think about this. Think of someone that is really a trouble for you, someone that certainly doesn't look very pure and clean and nice and sweet and loving. That's a big order to say, wait a minute. That's an illusion, because that's the human plane. So you see what the job is, friends? You got a lot to do. You got to see past that. You got to dissolve what you're seeing, because that's a fear thought. It's a negative thought. It's a hate thought. Even if it's a love thought, if it's in the human realm, it isn't real. So now that's your freedom. There is freedom in the Christ mind, and let me explain what that means. Folks have wanted to call Jesus, Jesus Christ, when Jesus, I think, who was Joshua in those days, where he studied with the Essenes in the occult mysteries. He started around 12 waking up, they tell us, from what Joel has to share. And he studied with the Hebrew, he studied in India. He began to understand the voice, that he came only to follow guidance, nothing else. He went to the wilderness a lot because he really needed to regroup, because he was dealing with how hard his message was. He was trying to tell folks, you've got what I've got. We all have this Christ mind. So it's not Jesus Christ, it's Jesus trying to give us the concept of the Christ mind is the invisible spirit within us that never leaves us, it's constant. So even I think it was Moses that brought the Hebrews out. They were just pretty out there with, he calls them kind of wild. So I know that the commandments helped a lot of folks to shape up. They needed rules. A lot of folks needed rules. And then a lot of other folks, unusually psychic or sensitive or spiritual folks, got the message. Jesus really, really wanted everyone to get the message. And you know, today here we are, how many thousands of years later, and we're getting it. Yes, we are getting it. We're going beyond metaphysics. We're going to the purity of seeing the perfect everywhere. So, here's a great punchline. What we walk into is our world. It's our perception. It's up to us what we see. No one can do this for you. No group of people can do this for you. This is your job, if you want it. And once you find out the added things are coming, and by that I'm not thinking about you're going to get a car, you're just going to have miracles happening. And you didn't plan on those miracles. They just came from somewhere that somebody knew more than you did and said something very exciting or gave you something that helped lift your spirit because you dared to let go of a vision. I mean, the Infinite Way wants us to have the vision of the Christ. That's what Jesus wanted us to have. He wants us to see that we're all in this together. We're all connected. The universe is totally connected. Our intelligence, our souls, our bodies are all one, and they're all taken care of. He said, we can look better at 100, and I sort of chuckle at that one, saying to myself, okay, Penelope, you got some work to do here. If you can look better now than you did when you were 10, why not? And you know why? Because your soul is such a kid. Your soul doesn't change. It's immortal. It's an awareness. You came in, you brought this body with you, with your awareness. You brought this incarnation in, or this parenthesis, as Joel mentions it, and you have a job to do. You're part of a spiritual underground. I kind of like that. Where you don't go out and you put a list in front of God saying, I want all of these things. You let go. You don't want to outline your life. Because life now, if you're understanding where I'm going, is total surrender 24/7. So if this process of meditating is a skill that when you see it works, when you work it and you work it and you work it and you see how your days are different. And then you get caught. Sometimes you get caught up short because you've really blown it and you know better. I've had that happen. So it's really, it's just an amazing experience. And I want to, again, thank Joel for his work. He was just such a master. I remember him saying I would show up for a gig where I was supposed to present something and I didn't know what I was going to do. Often he would say that, I'm not prepared, or wow. He went within, he'd get up there, and the magic happened. He was an instrument. We are all instruments for the voice. So he listened. And what poured out of him through his lectures, his tapes, his books, it was all given to him. He says, I didn't write those. So what an incarnation, what a parenthesis this man had. He has really rocked the world. He's rocked mine, he's rocked millions. This calendar that I had mentioned to Tim, my director, that we've gotten requests from Europe. I mean, it's wonderful to be on YouTube and realize how mysticism is really strong. People are finding, as they do their inner work, that they cannot run out of the house anymore without knowing God is on the shoulder when you answer the phone. He's driving your car on a trip. He's everywhere. But the awareness is your job. So in the old days, we always thought, excuse me, a priest, a rabbi, a minister, they were the only ones that could be godlike and be teachers. That's not true. We all don't have to go to theology school. We all can go within. That's what mysticism is. It's very private. Everything is private. You could be sitting in a room with prisoners and just know the truth for them, knowing that they may be there for reasons that were tough on their life, but you can still give them that gift. That's what is called for all of us. We can be sitting anywhere where people are gnarling about something, and we just know we can bring the presence into the room. We do not have to tell them. Matter of fact, as I said before, somebody could think you're a little nuts. And you know, one response, Joel said, well, if you don't understand what I'm saying, or you're hearing something I'm saying, why don't you try a book? Why don't you just read it for yourself and see what you think? So, and it's okay if people do not appreciate where you are at all. It matters not, because we're all coming home to the Father's house. It's inevitable because we've been given the gift of life. Yeah, immortal life. I think Jesus said, you know, when he left, he came back and they saw his hands. He brought his body back. He brought a couple, Elijah, Elisha came back. It was like, yes, you've got a body and you've got a soul, and it's always going to be yours. It's eternal. You are eternal. Now, he talked about synonyms in this book. Synonyms meaning some way when you're going to meditate and you're maybe struggling a little bit with, how can I get God flowing out of me? Think of synonyms. He mentions soul. He mentions spirit. He mentions truth. He mentions peace. Any way where you can get grounded in your meditation. If you need a buzzword, so what? That's perfect. Because that buzzword is taking you to the truth of what God is, which is eternal peace, love, and light. Light is another great word. Yeah, there are days sometimes you sit down and in 2 minutes like, oh, it's not working. Or you may have to sit longer or leave it for a minute and come back. But you will learn, you will grow in your meditation practice as you realize how beautiful your life ends up being through your days, through your nights. You could even maybe remember where you've been. You're certainly not going to be over when you're out of here. And there's no death. And once we really get that, as Joel says, once we really get that, and that's pretty hard to get, with all the talk of diseases and who's dying and, you know, what you can get, the fact that there's just nowhere to go but back to the Father's house to get ready for whatever else you might be asked to do, because he will tell you, the universe, God, divine light will tell you what to do next. You have an urge. It's within you. You'll have an urge. You're going to say at some point, what the heck am I doing here? I want something creative and exciting, and something that just is more exciting than anything I've ever done. And once you open up that door, once you meditate and receive the word, and believe me, don't go anywhere without meditating. Don't go anywhere without your pal telling you what to do and where to go. And if you have a problem, release it, let it go. Don't try and solve it. Let it go and let answers come. That's pretty tough for a human mind to do, who loves to control, who loves to know everything, who just wants to grow away from their orientation in eternity. But you know what? Those are the ones that can wake up the fastest and the strongest, because they find out that falls flatter than most things. And by that, nothing warm is coming back. If you're one-upping, if you have negative thinking, if you have fear. And fear really is something that doesn't exist. Okay, you got that? Fear doesn't exist. Hate doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is the divine love from your heart. Watch what your heart feels. Yes, your heart is in charge. Go to your heart. Let your hair down. Be intimate within. Ask. Bask in whatever is bothering you. Ask for that hand to hold yours. You will be so amazed at how much insight you can get, how much love you can get for whatever is going on. Because, you know, this world has an awful lot to look at that's sad. Yeah, that's political, that's just plain old hard to see. So, the worst person you know, I often say, deserves your love. See them differently. See through the glass darkly, the illumination behind that soul. See who this person really is. I'm winding down. I thank Joel for his life. I talked to him, figuring he's my teacher, so he better listen, because I need his help every time I do a book report. I try to share what's given me a life. My life's gotten very simple. There's a whole lot I don't want to do but study, meditate, work out, sing, whatever it is. I have a very simple life now, and it's never been more full of divine light. And I just want to tell you folks, Joel Goldsmith is my guy. But thank you for joining me on Awaken the Dream, and I will talk to you again soon. Appreciate Tim. Order that calendar if you'd like it, and thank you for watching.